Welcome on in, everyone, to Let's Talk Utes. Utah, booming victory 42-10 over Arizona State, who was without Sam Levitt. Really rainy, windy night, especially in the first half here in Salt Lake City. But Utah really dominates on the ground. I think that this was a game where they physically imposed themselves. That was my main takeaway. What do you guys have for kind of the overall view of this game?
Yeah, I mean, starting with Utah's offense, the first thing that just jumps off the page to me is obviously the rushing game. Dampier had an incredible night, best rushing game of his career so far at Utah by far. I know that all three of us had been pretty concerned about Dampier's rushing the previous 2 weeks. That would be against West Virginia and Texas Tech. We heard that there was kind of an ankle injury, but we didn't know how much it was really affecting him. And after the bye week, I feel like we can safely say that it was affecting him pretty bad. He looked like a completely different rusher, truthfully. I was worried a little bit. It looked like he had gotten a bit thicker since New Mexico. I'm sure a lot of that's muscle. Like he said, he's squatting 500, so that's great. But, sometimes you worry a little bit that it's slowing down the movement. But I honestly think he dispelled a good chunk of my worry last game. Like, you're a good runner if you're running for 120 yards against a pretty good Arizona State rush defense to this point. 12 yards a carry and 3 touchdowns. Like, that's the stamp of approval right there.
Yeah, the biggest thing to me was he looked like he had that power back running. Like he broke tackles like he had not this year, in my opinion. Like versus UCLA, I felt like, they really weren't even close enough to tackle.
Their defense was so bad that it was like they broke the tackles themselves.
But I feel like I remember that specific, there was like a second and long. We gave the ball to like Rogers and it was like he maybe got 1 or 2. Second and long, we ran Dampier. And he got hit at the line of scrimmage, but he just kept his legs moving and just totally took the guy along with him for the first down.
I think especially something else, his elusiveness. There's at least 3 plays I can think of top of my head. His first touchdown where the linebacker had him. He beat him to the gap, but he just went to the side, nice little juke moving completely, shook the defender and allowed him to get into the score in the end zone. I think obviously the rain and the wet turf probably doesn't help on the defensive side of the ball, but just having some of that elusiveness back from Dampier, like with the power and with him being 100%, you kind of saw it this week against ASU. It was really impressive. And then I think, especially with the conditions, I think he passed the ball pretty well. I mean, he had that really deep shot to Ryan Davis for 56 yards, which was great. I mean, the ball was right in his hands while he was running. I think Devin Dampier had an excellent game. He played absolutely out of his mind. One of the best games I've seen from a Utah quarterback in a while, especially with the conditions that we've had that was there.
Yeah, exactly right. We didn't need to use the pass game a ton. Only 13 total attempts that's insanely low. 8 of 13. And one of those was Burt Ficklin as well. Nice throw. But I think Dampier was efficient when we did pass. Even a couple of those were drops, the very first play of the game, kind of like a Wayshawn Parker drop off the side. Yeah, and I really think that play to Ryan Davis was kind of the passing highlight of the game. There weren't many because the conditions didn't allow that really wet game. And we were running for so much that, we kind of wanted to lean on that. But the O-line, the protection there really allowed that double move for Ryan Davis time to develop. And then he was completely wide open. Dampier just throws it up to him and he gets it.
It actually reminded me a little bit of Marcel Reed at Texas A&M, where we didn't, and obviously this game had some extenuating circumstances. It was high winds, heavy rain at the beginning of the game. I don't think anyone's going to come out there. I was about to say no one's going to go out there and throw 40 times, but ASU threw 38 times. So
it's ridiculous.
Once you're down by 3 scores, you kind of start just passing no matter what. And it clearly didn't work. But going back to the Texas A&M thing, you don't have to be the most insane, efficient passer, dicing them up in the mid passing game. If you can just hit the big one, hitting just 1 or 2 of those big deep shots, it just keeps your offense moving. It keeps the defense honest. And I think Dampier did a great job of that.
Yeah. Dampier, 99.9 QBR grade. Actually, looking at ESPN's database, that was the 11th best QBR performance that they have on record, 99.9. So pretty impressive today from Dampier.
Yeah, one thing interestingly enough, actually, looking at Jeff Sims, he had a 66.5. It's not bad.
He actually impressed me. I thought he obviously wasn't Levitt, but I think he was better than I expected coming in, especially passing. Um, I mean, in tough conditions, like I felt like he did okay. Like I was expecting him to be a complete non-factor passing, but
Yeah.
that wasn't truly the
He
case.
honestly, he put some balls in very nice spots for the receivers, but you got to give it to Utah secondary. The coverage was really good.
I mean, speaking of, talking about ASU's wide receivers and our coverage. I mean, Jordan Tyson, he kind of was non-existent for most of this game. I mean, his worst game of the season, probably a decent margin. I mean, he had a game against Baylor where he got 43 yards, but he did score a touchdown in the air, and Utah held him to only eight receptions and 40 yards with zero touchdowns through the air. He did have that rushing I think the late in the third quarter on that little end around, but I mean, shout out to Smith Snowden and the DBs. I think him and Blake Cotton had most of the coverage on Tyson, and they looked awesome on him. And it was really impressive to see how well they stuck with him throughout the whole game.
Oh, for sure, dude. I thought especially Scooby Davis and Blake Cotton were super, super good. I thought Smith was awesome as well, but he had a couple penalties that moved the chains. But I mean, Blake Cotton and Scooby Davis were all over their receivers. Like they threw multiple shots down the sidelines that just had no chance because of the perfect defense.
I mean, you can't blame Smith when you can't touch the man at all with some of those
Yeah,
penalties.
there were a couple just one mostly phantom PI that was pretty stunning.
Yeah, that one was crazy.
Didn't
Yeah.
really affect the game, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
But focusing a little
it's so
bit more on both Dampier and the O-line, did you guys know Arizona State only had one tackle for a loss the whole game?
Yes, yeah, I wrote
We
that down
only
in my
had
notes as well.
one
watching the
negative
game.
play the entire game that we lost yards
Yeah.
on. And
Yeah,
I think
and-
the announcers in the first game Utah played this season against UCLA had an elite call. The announcer said, "This is Devin Dampier. He demoralizes the pass rush." And he did that again tonight. Like
Yeah.
one with the free rush, you think, oh, he's got him for sure. Just little spin move, totally open again, just running. And it has to be demoralizing because you finally beat your block and it's just like he barely even touched him. Like it was a free
just
escape from
seems
the
like-
pocket.
It's so crazy because especially there's only really one play where they almost sacked him. There's only one, which is good for the O-line.
Yes,
But
yes.
like it almost feels like he's like jogging because like he knows he's
Dude.
not going to get tackled, and so he's only like 8 feet away from these defenders, but like he's not even worried. Like he's just jogging around still because like he knows they can't touch him.
A little spider sense is kicking in.
Let's move on to talk about the offensive line because I think this was a game where ASU coming into the game had the third best rushing defense by yards in the Big 12 is what, was said on the stats on the broadcast. And Utah's offensive line they honestly like destroyed them. 7 yards per rush. Like that's going to win you pretty much any game you're in. And no sacks, 1 tackle for loss like Landon mentioned. Dominant performance.
Yeah, I mean, just completely unbelievable. I feel like all of us were waiting for like, man, this O-line's looked good against bad teams, but we're still kind of waiting on that statement game against a good rushing defense, someone where you really need that O-line. And I think this was it. I know that playing in the rain, it's a bit weird, but the stats kind of speak for themselves. Like 280 yards on the ground for 7 yards per carry is dominant. Like it doesn't matter where or when this game was played. Like that's a dominant performance.
So many instances where I saw Spencer Fondo, Caleb Lomo just pancaking guys and the interior guys with Mokafisi and not Lomu, Comp, they were just absolute dominating. Some of these holes were ridiculous. It was some of the biggest holes I've seen all year long, and I mean, the scores and the yards per carry, like everyone was saying, like it kind of just shows how dominant they were. There was nothing that they couldn't do. Nothing wrong that happened. I don't think there was a penalty on the offensive line as well, which was really nice which was really good to see as well. That's something that was concerning throughout the season. Looks like they're starting to clean that up, and I hope that continues and trends that way. But man, it was impressive to see. This was the Utah offensive line that we were hoping for all season, and of course they played really well. But this was the highlight game. A lot of NFL draft tapes going to be coming from this game for those big boys up front.
Oh, totally agree.
Yeah, it's kind of funny oh, sorry, you go.
Yeah, I think that ASU, like they had real reasons to like think that they could be able to win that line of scrimmage battle, like especially considering what Texas Tech did to Utah. And like Utah just completely erased that idea within the first 2 drives.
Yeah, exactly. And it's crazy because talking about Spencer Fano, I've never seen an offensive lineman who gets like highlights like him. He's had like highlights.
Yeah.
Like I've never noticed an offensive lineman like I noticed Fano on some of these plays. I believe maybe the first drive of the game, they had a linebacker that tried to jump and block Dampier's pass, and Spencer just grabbed him when it was in the air and body slammed him. It was like it's just funny. I feel like I never see that stuff happening. But like, while the guy was in the air, Fano just stepped forward into him and just slammed him into the ground. It's like,
yeah. Well, it's like, do you remember versus UCLA? Like that guy tried to do like that rip move, like bring his arm up through. And so, it's not holding. Fano just like spun
he
him to
went
the
with
ground.
the momentum and just threw him to the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's like this counter play. I don't know really what the run was exactly, but they had Sfano coming in, and it kind of had a free rusher on the other side, and he just came in and just absolutely met him and just fell down. It's like defensive, like Fano didn't get touched. It was just like, okay, boom, hitting the brick wall. It was like, jeez, this guy is a beast.
Yeah.
One more thing
Let's
I
talk
want to.
a little bit. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, you go.
One more thing I want to talk about the offense is I think Utah used a better group of personnel against Arizona State. I do think that Wayshawn and Daniel Bray need more carries than Nakari Rogers. Nakari had 12, leading everyone on the team with 12 carries. Wayshawn right behind that at 10. Daniel Bray with 5 carries, 6 touches overall. They passed it to him once. I'm really glad they got Daniel Bray involved. He's an absolute dominator. Like every time he touched the ball, just something good was happening. He's even good at breaking tackles. Like he's hard to bring down, even when you get a hand on him. You wouldn't think that with being a smaller, kind of lighter player, but it genuinely is true. They were mentioning on the broadcast that he ran a 10-3 100-meter, just elite speed, total burner. I'm really intrigued to see what Utah can do with him. If that dude can catch it all, we actually need to start throwing him the ball as a wide receiver, I think.
Well, he caught a pass. In
dude.
This. He caught
a short one, but I'm envisioning like a Debo Samuel type role for him. I think he would absolutely just dominate. Like we just need to get the ball into his hands by any means necessary.
I totally agree. I think that he is potentially our most dynamic offensive player. Like I think that outside of Dampier, like it may be Bray number 2. Like as far as guys that have elite talent.
See, and that's no disrespect to Wayshawn. I think Wayshawn's a dominator. He needs to get the ball way more as well.
Oh, totally agree. Yeah.
Like Wayshawn and Bray is actually the perfect duo, truthfully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the Nakari 12, like maybe just split that up between Parker and Bray. Like I think it's time for that. Like I think that when you get outperformed for the first 6 games by, both of those guys, like it's time to move some of the carries, I think.
Well, it's like Nakari had 7. You go.
Talking about Nakari, like I was impressed with his second half, or I guess his third quarter. That's the only time he played in the second half. But I think that's where he got his 2 touchdowns. The first half or first quarter, he didn't look the greatest, but he kind of switched for him, and he was able to get quite a few more productive runs. I mean, that big 22-yard run for the touchdown really helps his stats there. Taking that off, 11 yards for 26, 11 carries for 26 yards. Besides that long 22-yard rush, it doesn't look the greatest. That's 2.4 yards per carry or something like that. So not the greatest. So I definitely agree where I feel like Wayshawn and Daniel Bray especially need to get more carries taken away from Nakari. But I will say, I think he looked really well, looked a lot better later on in the game.
Yeah, one thing I'll say is never take 6 rushing TDs in a game for granted. Do you guys remember the total amount of rushing TDs we had in 2024?
Wasn't it like 5 or something for the whole season?
It was 7 for the whole season, and we had 6 in this one game. So never take that for granted, an offense that can score points.
Another thing as well, I used to hate on Tavion Thomas. I was like, there's no way this guy like scoring 21 touchdowns in a year. Like he's not that guy. But looking back, bro was getting in the end zone. Like there's nothing to hate on there. Like I'll take that again right now. I don't care who it is. Like, so yeah, overall, doesn't matter who's scoring it. The rushing was super effective.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about, kind of the receivers and tight ends. Not a huge impact from them. The biggest impact was obviously Ryan Davis, 3 catches, 68 yards, and the long of 56. Bentley had a couple nice catches as well. Otto Tia, 32-yard catch from Burt Ficklin. Um, yeah, I mean, nothing. I mean, Tobias Merriweather, 1 for 9. Really, we weren't throwing very much in this game. I mean, the wet conditions kind of precluded us from that, I think.
I did like that Larry Simmons got more snaps. I think he's good, and I actually liked the one handoff we gave to him with Bird Ficklin. I thought he ran really well, so I'd look for Larry to get more playing time in the future. I think he played well.
I think just like Landon talked about earlier, like just the personnel that we had is definitely encouraging. A lot of Bentley, a lot of Davis. Daniel Bray was out there a lot with Davis. I mean, JJ Buchanan, even though he didn't get any touches, he was out there looking, and he had some good opportunities. And then, of course, we talked about Larry Simmons. He's been playing really well. But like those guys, I feel like those are are guys that need to be getting the ball more. Of course, like I mean, the weather is a big factor, and when you're rushing for 7 yards per carry, it doesn't really matter. You don't need to throw the ball at all. Um, there's a reason why the Navy the schools don't do it out in the Army.
Yeah.
They can run, but anyways, that the I would say like obviously this week's game is not a big factor, but what I saw out there from the people that did play, I liked. So it's encouraging. It's encouraging stuff.
Anything else on Utah's offense, or should we move on to the defense?
I think defense
Okay.
is ready to go.
Let's move on to the defense. So Utah holds Arizona State to 10, 38 passing attempts and 40 running attempts for Arizona State. Honestly, huge total of passing. Something that was very interesting to me was that the total passing yards, yards per pass was 3.3 and yards per rush was 3.4 for Arizona State, which actually kind of makes sense when you think about it, because like they were getting so many short third and fourth downs. They were just holding the ball and just running, and it wasn't being effective for them as far as points scored, but they were moving it, decently. I just think it's funny that, 3.4 and 3.3, it's like you do that 3 times, you'll get a first down.
It's the perfect math to be like fourth and inches every time or get the first down barely, It's like perfect. Yeah, something interesting as well, kind of tying into that, the time of possession. Arizona State with 36 minutes, Utah with 23 minutes of time of possession. So 13-minute differential there, but it didn't really show up on the scoreboard at all.
Yeah, I think it just kind of shows that time of possession really means nothing. It's not an important stat. And
It's
you
not.
shouldn't build an offense around possessing the ball for like a long period of time. Like that's a stupid thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's talk about Levitt being out, because that was obviously the big shock of the week, was Levitt not being able to play. Sims was obviously not up to Levitt's standard. I do think that if they have a competent pass game, they definitely would have scored quite a bit more. I could have seen this being more in the 42-24, 42-28, 42-31 kind of shootout range, I still think Utah would have won with Levitt. I mean, no one player is making up a 32-point gap in a specific game. But, I think, yeah, that's unfortunate for Arizona State fans that Levitt was not there.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, especially coming from a Utah fan's perspective, we know how bad it is to have your starting QB get injured and you lose a game. But it's it sucks, but that's just kind of the way it goes. You don't have to look far to see last year when Utah played with Cam Rising on half a leg, and the game was actually decently competitive. So yeah, I haven't really looked online or anything, but if there are ASU fans saying, oh, we would have won this game easily if Levitt played, you have to accept then that last year you would have been genuinely blown out if Cam was healthy. So it's it kind of goes both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think talking about Arizona State, one player that I thought had an awesome game was Malik Brown. I mean, he looked really, really well, and I mean, 14 carries for 67 yards, 4.8 yards per carry. I mean, doesn't jump out the stat sheet, but when he got the ball in his hands, he was very dynamic, and Utah struggled with him for a big chunk of the game. And I'm just glad Utah was able to contain him somewhat to a point where we were able to keep them down to 10 points. But he's special, man. He's a good player.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like they should have gone to him more. Maybe he just can't take that usage, but the team was averaging 3.4 yards per rush. I wonder what that would look like if you take out Malik Brown's rushes. You know, if he was averaging 4.8, like they'd probably be
It's pretty bad.
sub 2 potentially.
Yeah, one thing I want to touch on, I feel like this was the first game that Utah's defensive tackles got a little bit exposed. Like, I don't think it was a terrible performance, but Arizona was pretty committed to those interior runs, those kind of north and south type runs, and they were working on us. It seemed like the DTs were just struggling a little bit with the physicality in the trenches, getting those running backs down at the line, plugging those gaps. So it wasn't a massive issue, but this was the first game where I was like, okay, that's a little bit of a weakness there.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I think we really hadn't faced anyone yet that was like a key part of their offense. In Arizona State, I don't think it's like a key part either, but it's something that they definitely did, especially without Levitt. And I think that's what allowed them to like kind of string together these like longish drives, even if they didn't come out with points. 7 of 18 on third down. So Utah actually did great on third down, but fourth down, 4 of 5. It's like pretty good conversion.
Yeah, I think that 4 of those were just QB sneaks, truthfully, but that speaks a little bit to the defensive tackles as well. Like, they were easy, no doubt QB sneaks for 1 yard. That's something to be a little bit concerned about. Like, they should practice that in practice. There. Like, stopping the QB sneak, I think, is something that should be focused on a bit in practice this week.
Yeah, I think like I said, the DTs, they did get a little exposure, but I mean, but positive in that is the next level, the linebackers to safeties, they really stepped up when those DTs weren't getting that first initial push. Guys like Lander had 6 tackles today, Teo had 4, Jono had 4, Benny had 8, like just stuff like that where it's those next guys, they really stepped up, and which I thought was encouraging, because that was a concern for us for most of the whole offseason, with his losing a lot of the depth and a lot of the star factors in the defensive tackle room for Utah. Who's going to step up? And it looks like, I mean, the linebackers and safeties have done most of that heavy lifting on that end in my mind.
Yeah, Benny just continues to be a star at everything he does. I mean, amazing on defense. You know, they switched him from nickel to safety, played there for the injured Nate Ritchie. I mean, honestly, it was better than Ritchie had been this year. And then also the blocked kick too. Like, he blocked the kick as well.
And he almost got his 4th interception of the season, like 1 inch away from his 4th int of the season. Like, Benny is the type of guy you want at safety, someone with just a super strong feel for the game. Seems like they're always in the right spot, fast, athletic, can cover a lot of ground. Like, Jackson Benny is just absolutely dominating at safety. Even in Whittingham's postgame, he already said, I think Jackson Benny might look best at safety that he's looked anywhere on the defense. And I agree with that. Like, he was dominant against Arizona State.
The combo of him and Teo, which allows Teo to like sit back in coverage, is so good. I thought we saw that a ton with the pass coverage. Just like having Teo back there, like, it didn't feel like there was any space to grow for ASU. And it just didn't, it hasn't felt like that when we had the Ritchie Teo combo, but the Benny Teo combo it shut that down.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a few instances where Jackson Benny, I mean, they got, I think it was either Sims or Brown, they kind of got more open space, and it was just Benny there, and just a sure tackle like 2-3 times where, I mean, some other players for Utah, maybe they don't get that tackle, maybe they don't get that first down. They do get that first down because they don't get him down there. But Benny, just absolute domination with those 5 solo and 8 total tackles from today, and I mean, something that was awesome. And someone that I want to shout out for today, at least a little bit, Logan Fano. Like, probably one of the first games where I've really seen a lot of like, okay, there's Logan. There's a Logan I know. He was very fast off the line and made some really good moves. I mean, probably helps that you have a guy like John Henry Daly on the other side having to get double teamed. So it's kind of the switch flipped there a little bit, where Fano wasn't the focus for the DNs, but it was nice to see him have a really good game with 4 tackles and a sack. It's good to see him back.
Yeah, John Henry Daly. Let's talk a little bit about him as well. I mean,
I was about to bring that up too
today. Yeah, I mean, I think 8 for
2.5 tackles for a loss as well.
Wow. Yeah,
in the same game,
dominant.
Outside of the sacks, 2.5 tackles for a loss as well.
Yeah, like, he has become one of the best defensive ends in the entire country. I don't think that's crazy to say.
Oh, dude, not at all. He's absolutely dominant.
Half a sack behind David Bailey at Texas Tech for the the lead in the conference and half sack to lead the nation.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, one guy I want to talk about on defense as well, Nate Tillman. When he came in with the second unit, he was able to get 1 sack and 1 tackle for a loss. He played extremely well. And if he starts getting more reps with the first team, I won't be opposed at all.
Oh, I wouldn't either. I think physically, like, he looks ready. Like, he actually looks like pretty big and like pretty fast. Like, he looks like an NFL body to me.
Yeah.
That's a true freshman too. It's impressive how well he's played, and I mean, like you said, like he's already built and has that that in-game body ready to go, and I'm just excited to see what he can do later on in his career at Utah. With how I mean, the whole season, it would be nice to see him play more as well.
Did any defensive players play on offense against Arizona State?
Nope. I was gonna actually talk about that. It's nice to see like some like guys like focus on that defense, but also like just finding the guys on offense like a Daniel Bray, Ryan Davis that just really kind of stepped up and played really well there.
It feels like we found answers to those gaps we were trying to fill by using the defensive players with guys that are on offense, like Daniel Bray. Like, I can't imagine Smith Snowden plays any more snaps on offense, truthfully.
I mean, and he really shouldn't. Like, Landers shouldn't either. I mean, the only one I could really see is Benny because that deep threat.
Yeah, Benny is nice. He should play a couple more snaps on offense, but at the same time, if we have the emergence of, say, like a Larry Simmons, potentially, I could also see just saving Benny for defense. He's so good at safety.
Yeah.
It's nothing against like Smith and Lander and stuff like. I mean, we just need them on the defense side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, they were good.
There.
Yeah, like it's not a Vaki situation where they're just so dominant on offense, like you have to play them there. Like they were like okay on offense, but like I mean, I feel like you can replace their production like pretty easily.
Agreed.
It's better to just leave them on defense.
I completely agree. Like I think Smith, like it kind of showed today, like the last few games where he hasn't played and had any offensive snaps, his defense has looked better. Like he's been able to sticking with guys like Jordan Tyson. It just really is. It's an impressive feat.
I actually agree with that. His coverage has looked better when he's not playing on offense. Like he seems more energized.
Yeah. Well, and just him playing more snaps is critical, I think.
Yeah.
Like it helps our pass defense overall. Like I think he's found his spot. Like he's a nickel guy. Like it's perfect in that role.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to shout out was the turnovers. 0 turnovers for Utah in a super wet game. But the flip side of that, Arizona State also 0 turnovers. Utah, I mean, we almost got that Benny, like interception, but I really think that they need to find ways to create turnovers because that's something that they struggled with for honestly years now. Like Scally's mentioned it, Witt has mentioned it. We need to generate more turnovers.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Sims throughout his 6-year career so far, he was averaging 1 turnover every 16 pass attempts, and so he had over 38. So he more than doubled his efficiency there. I mean, I wish I could say that brings the stat up to 1 turnover every 17. But, with that much data, it's probably 1 turnover every 16.2 now. So,
yeah.
But
I will say, like, counter argument that, I mean, with the average being 3.3, it's like they're not throwing deep balls.
That's true.
Like those attempts. And it's that just to play like that type of devil advocate for us, I guess. But I do agree that there just needs to be more turnovers generated, especially against these really good teams. Like ASU, they're a good team. Like that's a good team. That's a team that's going to be contending for the Big 12 championship still, even with that 1 loss. I mean, they got a rough game next week, but it should be. I guess I don't know if it's next week.
Yeah, Texas Tech, I think, yeah.
They got shafted.
I honestly think that even with a Texas Tech loss, which I'm expecting because I think Texas Tech is the best in the country, ASU, I think, well, not the best in the country, best in the Big 12. I think ASU could, I mean, could ASU run the table after that? I mean, I wouldn't be shocked.
Potentially.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of parity in the Big 12. I mean, you saw this week, there's a lot of, we'll cover that more in another video, but like, ASU definitely is a good team, and they can still get a chance to be in the conference championship game if things fall their way.
Yeah. I think overall, Utah in this game proved they're number 2 in the conference, like pretty definitively. Like Texas Tech, I would say definitively tier 1. Mm-hmm. Utah, I would say definitively tier 2. and then everyone else is kind of a notch below that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that like Utah honestly like controlled this game. Like they could have scored, 55 if they wanted.
It was over
56
in the
if they
second
wanted.
quarter.
Yeah, like Dampier did not play in the fourth quarter. Like they put in the backup the entire fourth quarter against a ranked team.
Well, it's like
they could have named their number.
Utah even drove past the 50 on the last drive and then kneeled it out with 2 minutes left. Like they even starting with poor field position on, I think, Utah's own like 4-yard line. Regardless, they drove it past the 50 with 2 or 3 plays and decided to kneel it out when they could have easily scored another time.
Yeah, with how ASU's defense looked, Utah could have gotten whatever they wanted if they had left Dampier in and actually, tried to go for kind of the embarrassing game. Okay, let's move into game balls. We're each going to give out a game ball to, the player or unit we thought was the most impactful here. Let's start with you, Ethan. Who's your game ball to?
I don't got a single player. It's the offensive line. They just had an absolute dominant game. I mean, they won us. I mean, Devin Dampier said it best. Like the boys up front won us this game. He did awesome. They played awesome. I mean, not much to say. We talked about him at large for a lot of this podcast, but those guys definitely deserve it on my mind.
What about you, Landon?
I'm going to go with the guy who had a 99.9 QBR. I know that's a hot take to give that guy the game ball, but just an absolutely elite performance from Devin Dampier. The rushing was unbelievable. Connected on those deep shots. Like, you literally can't ask for anything more. Like, he pretty much played perfect. So I have to go game ball Devin Dampier.
Yeah, I'm going Dampier as well. Like, I think that a performance that special, and especially the stuff that doesn't show up in the stat sheet, being really calm in like adverse conditions, never looking out of control, keeping the team kind of even keel, and like honestly, like the belief after bouncing back with Texas Tech, I was kind of like, oh man, like we destroyed West Virginia, but like they're probably the worst team in the conference.
Yeah.
Them or Oklahoma State, and like, like how's it gonna look versus a good team? Like because I do think ASU is a good team. And honestly, he kept it calm. And so like even his off the field stuff, in addition to like a masterful on the field performance, I'm going Dampier as well.
I feel like in moments like this, you need to you need to see the full picture. How many times has someone had a 99.9 QBR in general? And furthermore, against a quality ranked opponent, you had a 99 QBR, not an FCS game. Like that has to be extremely rare.
Yeah. And then, I mean, plus 100 aura for the Sele on the first TD.
Oh, yeah. The web shooters, then the Sioux. It's just...
Yeah.
Speaks for itself.
Well, I mean, and especially with like the history he has with Tempe. I mean, he grew up like, 10 minutes away from Sun Devil Stadium, Like, that's definitely something to take into account. He kept calm throughout that and didn't really let him affect his play on the field, which is impressive, given that mental strong.
Yeah, I think that this is obviously going into this week. Kind of overall takeaways. We said that these next 2 weeks will define the season. Versus Arizona State and versus BYU. I mean, honestly, like first test pass with flying colors, and I mean, it makes me feel great about the BYU game coming up as well.